Hey friends, tonight we're not walking through halls of royalty or gardens of forgotten scholars. We're going somewhere smaller, wetter, stranger. A place that wasn't supposed to exist and only did because people were desperate enough to keep it alive. We're headed beneath London, but not into the catacombs or the crypts or the city's famed plague pits. No, this place lies behind a crooked wall, down 15 stone steps, past the kind of wooden hatchet you're not meant to notice. You'll find it below the bakery, but only after curfew, and only if you knock the right way. So if you're listening in bed or tucked into your favourite chair, go ahead and make yourself even more comfortable. Let the room grow quiet. Let the edges of the day slip away. Maybe sip something warm or just close your eyes and let your breath soften. And while you settle in, feel free to like the video or subscribe, only if this kind of storytelling is something you enjoy. You can also tell me in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. I always love knowing who's keeping me company in the dark, because tonight we're stepping into 1665. The summer air smells like vinegar, burning pitch, and too many secrets. London is under curfew. The plague carts have been rolling for weeks, and if you're out on the streets after sundown, you're either very foolish or very poor. You're not a soldier, not a priest, not even a thief. You're something else. You're the kind of person who knows a door that isn't on any map, a door that opens sideways, and tonight you knock. It's not a door, really. It's more like a wooden panel someone once painted the colour of old stone. It doesn't open outward or inward. It slides sideways with the soft sound of wet rope on tile. A hand reaches out, thick fingers, a ring made of bent spoon metal. You duck your head and follow, because you don't have anywhere else to be. Behind you, the panel shuts with the softest of clicks, the kind you feel in your ribs. What's ahead of you now isn't welcoming. The staircase winds down in a tight arc, the steps slick with algae and powdered soot. You hold the wall as you descend, fingers sliding along a groove worn into the brick by countless hands before yours. The air changes after the fifth step. It thickens. Mildew, coal smoke, wet flour. Underneath it all, the faint, sour trace of vomit, long since cleaned but never fully gone. A torch bracket is set into the wall every few feet, though only one flame flickers now, tucked near the base of the steps. It casts no real light, just a dull orange smear across your boots. Your feet touch the last stone. It's uneven, slanted slightly toward a drain you don't want to look at too closely. The floor is warmer than you expected. The ceiling is low. Your shoulder grazes an iron pipe wrapped in old cloth. To your right, barrels, dozens of them, stacked like coffins, lashed tight with stained rope. Many are marked with chalk. Some have symbols you don't recognise. One has a child's drawing on it, scratched in with a nail, an X-eyed cat beside a man with no arms. There's no music, no chatter, just the soft clink of mug against wood and the low murmur of someone whispering a story they've clearly told before. The room narrows into a corridor, and there, leaning on a beam too cracked to support much weight, is your host, if that's what she is, the cellar keeper. She doesn't ask your name, she doesn't smile. She lifts her chin and studies you from beneath the shadow of a thick black hood. Her eyes are mismatched, one milky white, one sharp and grey. The grey one doesn't blink. Her hands are enormous. One holds a ring of keys, the other a wooden ladle, stained with something that was never ale. She says nothing. She nods once and turns, leading you into the heart of the cellar. You follow, because that's what you're meant to do. The next room is tighter, the air warmer, the ceiling lower. A long table runs the centre, mismatched chairs crammed close. People sit elbow to elbow, shoulders hunched, faces toward their mugs. No one looks up. A hand reaches out from the shadows and places a mug in yours. You don't see who it belongs to, you don't ask. That's part of the rule set, unspoken but enforced. The mug is warm, not hot, not fresh, just body warm. You smell it before you taste it. Fermented wheat, boiled onion, maybe vinegar, maybe blood. Not fresh blood. Nothing so bright. Something darker, older. The flavour hits the back of your throat like boiled leather and unwashed mint. You don't gag, but it's close. Someone beside you grunts approvingly. Another sips and lets out a low hiss, as if savouring a secret. No one speaks, no one toasts. There's no cheer, no God save us, no bottoms up. Just the soft sounds of quiet mouths and the heavier sound of something else. Fear, maybe. Resignation. The cellar doesn't encourage questions, only endurance. You sip it again. It's no better the second time, but it's not worse. That's something, you stay quiet. That's everything. You begin to notice the rules, though no one tells you outright. No names, no questions, no leaving, before the cellar keeper says it's time. There are no windows, no clocks, no sense of when or how long you've been sitting here. Someone coughs twice in a dark corner. No one reacts. Another reaches under the table and pulls out a cloth bundle. Inside, bread. Crusts and rinds, salted meat, cheese that smells like mould and mercy. It's passed around without comment. You take a piece, it cracks between your teeth. The man across from you has bloody rags wrapped around his thigh. He peels one away, pus seeps through. He doesn't flinch, just chews. His eyes meet yours. He nods. It's the closest thing to a welcome you'll get. The air grows warmer the longer you sit, but not in a way that suggests comfort. It's the warmth of too many bodies in too little space. The breath of the man to your left fogs in the candlelight, then disappears into the back of your throat. His coat is patched with string, his hands covered in soot, and he hasn't blinked since you arrived. The heat clings to your neck and the small of your back, settling like a fever that hasn't made up its mind. You shift on the stool. It rocks slightly. Someone else moves in rhythm, and then stillness returns. The ceiling drips in one corner, just slow, steady drops onto a tin plate that rings out every few seconds. No one looks up. No one seems to notice. The scent of onion rises stronger now, mingling with feet ale, and what might be dried vomit near the far wall. You breathe through your mouth. It helps, but not much. Food arrives the way everything else does. Suddenly, silently, without clear origin. A hand you don't see places a board on the table. Bread, mostly. Crusts gone hard as stone, soft middles pressed into mealy lumps. Beside it, strips of meat, salted to the point of rubber. A grey pat of lard sits in the corner like a dying candle. No one waits. You mimic the others. Grab what's near. Bite, chew, swallow. Don't look too closely. The woman across from you tears into her bread with teeth that are mostly missing. Her gums bleed slightly. She doesn't seem to care. A boy next to her passes a tin cup of dripping to the man beside him. A long line of grease connects them for a moment, glinting in the candlelight like a strand of web. It breaks and falls to the table with a soft, wet sound. You try not to flinch. No one else does. A knife appears somewhere to your left. It's dull, curved, and used more for leverage than cutting. The man who holds it uses it to pry apart a strip of pork so tough it resists like cured leather. He shares nothing. No one asks. Somewhere near the edge of the room, dice clatter onto a crate top. Someone hisses. Another swears. A faint rustle of coin, then silence again. The game continues in fits and murmurs, low enough to escape attention but loud enough that you know it's there. You don't look. The players don't like being looked at. You learn that fast. A sharp movement draws your eye, just for a second, and a man with a crooked nose glares at you. He keeps rolling, but he doesn't blink for a long time. Your stomach tightens. You take another sip from your mug. The liquid's cooled now, the flavour's no better. It settles thick at the back of your throat like damp wool. You set the mug down. Carefully. The table rocks. A hand steadies it. You never see the hand's owner. The warmth in the room has shifted again. Now heavier, thicker. Breath sticks to breath. You press your fingers to your temples, then to your pulse. It's steady, but slow. The candles are lower than before. Were they always this low? The flickering shadows seem longer. The woman with the bloody gums laughs suddenly, short, sharp, then nothing. A few heads turn, then turn back. Someone mutters a joke under their breath. You catch only the word rat. It doesn't sound funny, but a few smile anyway. The kind of smile you give when there's nothing left to do but pretend you've heard worse. The cellar keeper hasn't moved. She still leans against her beam, head bowed, hood shadowing her face. One of her hands rests on the keyring. The other has disappeared into her cloak. She hasn't spoken once, but every now and then someone glances toward her, as if to ask permission for something, or maybe forgiveness. The table creaks again. A man with no eyebrows scratches at his chest and begins humming, low and tuneless. His fingers tremble. The man next to him elbows him once hard. The humming stops. In the farthest corner, someone coughs, wet and deep. It goes on too long. No one offers help. No one even looks. You realise then there is no leaving early. No walking out if things go wrong. The door didn't have a handle on this side. Another round of bread comes around. This time you pass. Your stomach turns slightly. The smell of grease has sharpened into something sour. You lean back but stop before your shoulders hit the stone wall. It's damp. You don't want to know what's growing there. The dice clatter again, louder. A shout, then laughter. You recognise the rhythm now. It builds, crests, vanishes. Laughter dies too fast down here. Nothing stays. You lift your mug and take another drink. Still warm somehow. Or maybe your mouth is just colder now. A man across the room jerks forward and buries his face in his hands. No one reacts. When he looks up again, his eyes are dry. His nose is bleeding. A thread of it winds down his lip, pulls in his beard. He wipes it with the back of his sleeve. The woman beside him offers him a piece of bread. He takes it. No words. Your legs have gone a little numb. You shift again. The stool complains. You're not sure how long you've been here. There's no clock, no window, no time. Just the steady rhythm of breath and sip and chew and cough. The kind of rhythm that might never stop. The kind that burrows in. You glance down at your mug. It's half full. You don't remember drinking the last half. You close your eyes. Just for a moment. Just long enough to hear the drop still tapping the tin. Steady, relentless, like the city above. Except you're not above anymore. You're below, and the city's forgotten you exist. No one tells stories here the way you'd expect. There are no sweeping sagas, no tales of glory or luck. What you hear are confessions disguised as observations. The rats run backward on Mondays, someone mutters beside you, staring into his cup like it might correct him. Another offers. The priest's boy coughed blood on the offering plate. No one said a word. These aren't stories. They're warnings with the colour scraped off. You listen because not listening feels rude, but none of it feels quite real. It's like you stepped into a dream 2 inches too cold, a dream that smells of onions, yeast, and something very old hiding under the floorboards. You shift again. Someone offers a crust of bread. You take it this time. Your fingers brush theirs. Dry skin, no warmth. They don't meet your eyes. You chew slowly, mostly to prove to yourself that you can. At some point, the dice stop. The clatter fades. The air feels tighter, like the room has shrunk slightly while no one was paying attention. A soft scraping sound follows. A stool dragged along stone. No voices now. Even the coughs go quiet. You look up. The man who moved his stool has taken a knife from his belt. It's not large, not sharp either. The kind of blade that used to peel apples before it was used for worse. He sets it on the table in front of him and just looks at it. No one reacts. You don't either. That's another rule. If it's not pointed at you, it's not your problem. The cellar keeper hasn't moved. Her face remains in shadow. The flame near her flickers once, then returns to steady. You wonder if she's asleep, but then her hand shifts. She's not asleep. She just doesn't blink. It's easy to forget how late it is, or early, or whether time's moving forward at all. The longer you sit, the more the outside world fades, not in pieces, but all at once, like a curtain pulled across a window. You can still remember the bakery steps, the sliding panel, the smell of burning pitch from the street. But it's like remembering a painting of a thing, rather than the thing itself. That alley doesn't feel real anymore. This place does. The warmth, the breath, the quiet. You lean forward, resting your forearms on the table. A drop of something lands on your sleeve from the ceiling, cold, slimy. You wipe it off without thinking. Then, a low chuckle breaks the stillness. Someone said something. A joke, maybe. But no one laughs with them. And the laughter dies almost instantly, like it realised it wandered into the wrong room. Now the hush is different. Before, it was the silence of people ignoring each other. Now it's watching silence, listening, or the kind you can feel brushing against your neck. Someone moves behind you. You don't turn around. The back of your throat tightens. The stool creaks again, someone else adjusting. You breathe slower. You sip again. The drink is warmer than it should be. You look down. The mug is full. You don't remember refilling it. You close your eyes just long enough to count to 4. When you open them, a piece of bread has appeared on the table in front of you. No one's moved. You don't touch it. The cellar keeper shifts her weight. Her keys jingle once, bright and sharp like glass in the dark. Your breath shortens, not panic, just alertness. Your body noting something before your mind does. A chair scrapes behind you. You can't tell if someone left or sat down. The boy across the table is staring again. You didn't notice him before, but now you can't stop. He's no more than 10, barefoot, clothes clean somehow, cleaner than anyone else here. His eyes are wide. His lips don't move, but his chest does, breathing, slow and even. You blink. You look away. He's still there when you look back. No one else acknowledges him. You're not sure if that makes it better or worse. The bread on your table has gone soft, the crust damp, the drink still warm. One final noise breaks the spell, a soft cough in the corner, followed by a single clear knock. Not on a door, on wood, maybe a barrel. You don't know what it means, but everyone reacts at once. They sit straighter. They place their mugs down. No words, just posture. You copy them a beat too late. The cellar keeper raises her head. For the first time you see her face fully. It's neither young nor old, neither kind nor cruel. Just waiting, watching. Her mouth doesn't move, but something in your bones understands this night's not over. It hasn't even begun. A woman at the far end of the table starts laughing, not loud, not manic, just a low, steady chuckle like someone remembering something that shouldn't have been funny. It builds, then stumbles, then cuts off as fast as it began. You glance her way. She's older, maybe, though it's hard to tell through the dirt and creases. Her eyes are red. Her lips move, but there's no sound. The man beside her doesn't acknowledge it. He just lifts his mug again and takes a sip with the slow ritual of someone repeating a prayer they no longer believe in. You look back toward the cellar keeper. She's still standing, still watching. One hand on her keys, the other resting lightly on the table's edge. Her fingernails are thick and stained. Her expression hasn't changed. The boy's still across from you. He hasn't blinked. His face is too still, too clean. You take another sip just to avoid looking directly at him. It tastes like bark this time, like the inside of a dead tree. You wince, but quietly. The man beside you breathes louder for a moment, then goes silent. His eyes are closed. You wonder if he's asleep, but his fingers are twitching slightly against the edge of the bench. Everyone here seems caught halfway between one thing and another. Drunk, but not joyful. Awake, but not fully here. It's not just the cellar. It's the way time folds inside it. Warping edges, curling corners. You feel both like you've been here for days and that you've just arrived. Neither seems more true than the other. Another plate of food appears. Some kind of stew, thick and dark, served in a tin bowl, with dents like bite marks. You weren't hungry before, but now your stomach aches in a dull, petulant way. You dip a hunk of bread into it. The stew coats your fingers with a sticky sheen that doesn't quite rinse off with your tongue. You chew, slow. It's meat, technically. Probably. It has the texture of boiled cloth and the flavour of cloves and salt water. You don't ask. That's another rule. One of the unspoken ones. The woman across from you has stopped moving. Her spoon hovers an inch above her bowl. Her head tilts slightly, like she's listening to something you can't hear. You follow her gaze but see nothing. A dark wall, a damp corner, a flickering candle flame behind a veil of mist. Someone swears softly. You don't know why, you just feel the vibration of it through the table. The boy across from you shifts. For the first time he moves his mouth. Not a word, just a whisper. The shape of breath against the air. You try to focus. His lips form something like soon, but it might have been soup. Doesn't matter. The meaning's the same either way. You're too tired to laugh. Your eyes sting a little. Probably the smoke or the stew, or the realization that there are no clocks here. Nothing to measure your time by, just candles that don't burn evenly, and mugs that don't empty at the pace they should. You've stopped checking how full yours is. You sip when the silence thickens. That's all you know now. The edge of your vision, a man leans over and rolls a coin along his knuckles. It's the only clean object you've seen in this place. Gleaming, round, and far too bright for this dark. You blink, and it's gone. His hand rests on the table now, empty. You don't ask where the coin went. The cellar keeper's eyes shift for the first time, not toward you, but toward the far corner where the cough came from earlier. A man is slumped there now, head bowed, one leg stretched stiff and awkward, like it doesn't belong to him. No one helps. No one even pretends to check. The woman nearest him places a mug in front of his bowed head, then turns away. He doesn't move. The boy whispers again. Soon. The warmth in the room rises again, but this time it carries a chill with it, like the breath of something very large just passed near your ear. You pull your coat tighter, but it doesn't help. Your fingers feel too dry, your knees too damp, the stool beneath you creaks, though you haven't moved. You hear the drop of water hit the tin plate again. Slower now. Thicker. Maybe it isn't water anymore. The candles burn low. One sputters and dies. No one reacts. The woman who laughed earlier has begun humming. It's not a song you know. Loops without melody or end. A single note over and over. Her eyes stay shut. Her lips move. Her spoon stirs air. You don't look away, but you wish you had. The cellar games start again. Or maybe they never stopped. A new group has gathered near the barrel stack. No candles there, just the faint light from a cracked lantern swinging slowly on a hook. Dice clatter across the top of an overturned crate. The players speak in tones too low to follow, but the rhythm of the game pulses through the room like a second heartbeat. You try not to stare. One man leans over his roll, hissing through his teeth. Another grins with 3 teeth too many. A knife is produced. Not brandished, just shown. The way someone might place their hand on a book before lying. The game quiets again. The dice are gathered. Someone swears under their breath. No blood is drawn this time. You hear a coin roll, then silence again. You sip. The taste has changed again. Some sweeter now. Almost pleasant, like cloves soaked in something warm. You know better than to trust it. Across the room, the cellar keeper shifts again. She doesn't walk. She doesn't need to. Her presence moves like the smoke, slow, invasive, impossible to track. When you glance at her, her eyes are already on you. The grey one gleams. The other seems to pulse slightly in time with the candle flickers. Her hand rises slowly. She touches her keys. The boy sees it too. He tenses. You feel it rather than see it. His bare feet press flat to the stone floor like he's ready to stand. He doesn't. You breathe in. It smells like roasted barley, burnt rope, and something iron beneath it all. The man with the bloodied rag shifts again. You think he's trying to stand, but only one leg responds. The other drags behind him like a dead thing. He makes it 2 steps before he leans hard into the wall. A woman near him offers a shoulder. He refuses it. His mug stays clutched in one hand, tipped slightly, sloshing quietly with every limp. No one speaks. The boy tilts his head and watches. You try to do the same, but your neck aches in a way that feels older than you are. The man disappears behind the barrels. He doesn't return. The stew bowl in front of you is empty now. You don't remember finishing it. Someone's humming again, but it's a different tune, or maybe the same, just reversed. One man begins telling a story just loud enough for a few near him to hear. He claims to have seen the death walk the streets above, dressed as a soldier but wearing shoes made of paper. He left no footprints, the man says, but the rats followed him. No one laughs. The man next to him takes a slow drink. The boy watches. You look at the ceiling. The drips have stopped. The tin plate has been removed. You don't know when. Something scuttles above the beams. You hope it's a rat. Someone coughs again, wetter this time. The sound of fabric tearing follows, or maybe flesh. You don't check. You close your eyes for a breath. When you open them, your mug is full again. The story ends with no conclusion, just a shrug. That's what I saw, the man says. Or dreamed. What's the difference? You think about that longer than you should. You look down. Your hands aren't your hands. They are, but they look like someone else's version of them. Dirt under nails you don't remember growing, cuts across knuckles that sting without cause. You press your palm flat on the table. The wood is warm, almost pulsing. The boy reaches forward suddenly. He sets a small scrap of paper on the table between you. You look down, it's blank. Or maybe not. The ink hasn't risen yet. You glance at him. He only says one word. Soon. The laughter returns again. Just one person, short, sharp, then gone. No one responds. Someone slaps their mug down too hard, and liquid splashes over their hand. They don't wipe it off, just stare at it like the warmth might matter more than the mess. You think you see someone near the door trying to stand. The stool kicks back. The man's knees shake. He doesn't get far. The cellar keeper doesn't move, but her head tilts just slightly. The man sits back down. The stool creaks louder than it should. The boy exhales through his nose. Not a sigh, not a laugh. Something between. Your spine aches. You drink again, still sweet, still clove, still warm, and you lean back just slightly, enough for your shoulders to brush the wall. It's no longer wet, not cold either. It's warm now, like someone on the other side is pressing their back to it. You move forward again. The boy doesn't follow you with his eyes. He looks instead toward the dark alcove behind the barrels, the place where the man with the limp vanished. You can't see anything back there, but you smell something new, damp wool, scorched sugar, and the faintest trace of lavender. A memory, not a scent. You close your eyes for just a second. When you open them again, there's another mug on the table. Not yours. Full. Foam dancing faintly on the surface. Pale and laced with streaks of yellow-white. You don't remember anyone placing it there. You look to the boy. He doesn't move. His eyes are fixed on the mug. He says nothing. But the warning is there, in the breath he doesn't take, in the way his toes curl slightly on the stone. You've heard the whispers already. Don't drink the pale pint. That's for forgetting. But it's there. It wasn't before. You didn't ask for it. And still, someone thought you were ready. Or wanted to see if you were. You keep your hands in your lap. The mug waits. It doesn't steam, doesn't tremble, just exists. A quiet invitation from something that doesn't need to speak. You turn your head slowly toward the cellar keeper. She isn't looking at you anymore. She's looking past you. Her hand still rests on the keys. The air has thickened again, but not from heat. It's as if the room is holding its breath. No one moves. The dice game has stopped. The stew is gone. The bread has gone dry again. The mug remains. You feel it watching you more than you're watching it. You reach out not to grab it, but to move it aside just a few inches, just enough to say not yet. Your hand brushes the handle. It's colder than it should be. Bone-chill cold, like iron left outside in a winter storm. You pull your hand back without lifting the mug. Someone across the room exhales loudly. You don't know if it's relief or disappointment. Either way, the moment shifts. A chair creaks, the humming returns, a low note held too long. Behind you, the barrels groan, not loudly, just enough to sound like they're settling or breathing. You don't turn around. The boy finally looks back at you, nods once, just once, you nod too, not in agreement, just acknowledgement. Something passed between you. Not safety, not warning, just understanding. You check your original mug. It's gone. When? How? You don't remember finishing it. You feel full, heavy, but not ill. Not quite. The others around the table move in slow sync. A woman scratches her arm until it reddens. A man picks at the same slice of bread he's been holding since you arrived. Time doesn't move here. It warps. You're not sure if it's been hours or one long moment stretched until it thinned. Another stool scrapes. A man rises slowly, carefully. He steps toward the door. Not the one you entered, but another one, deeper in the cellar. You hadn't seen it before. A curtain hangs there, made of old grain sacks stitched together. He doesn't pull it aside, just stands in front of it, as if waiting for instructions. The cellar keeper doesn't move, but the curtain parts on its own, just slightly, just enough. The man steps through. You never hear it close behind him. You don't know if he's coming back. No one asks. The boy sighs again, quieter this time. His knees are drawn to his chest now. He looks younger than before. You feel older. Not in your body, in your breath. The pale pint remains on the table. No one touches it. The foam has stilled. It no longer stirs. You think about spilling it, knocking it over, ending the question. But your hand doesn't move. Your legs feel far away. The warmth from earlier has become a kind of pressure, like the air itself is holding your limbs still. The cellar keeper lowers her gaze again. Her hood shifts. The light from the candle catches the keys on her belt. One is missing. The boy's eyes flick there, then back to you. You don't speak. There's no need. You both understand now. This isn't about escape. It never was. This is a place you enter by choice. The trick is knowing if the choice was yours. You shift your weight again slowly. The stool answers with a low creak, the kind that sounds like a warning whispered through timber. The boy's eyes follow your movement, but only briefly. His attention is drawn back to something behind you. You're not sure what. You resist the urge to turn and look. Whatever it is, you'll see it when you're meant to. That seems to be the rule here. The mug, the pale one, Still waits. No steam, no scent, no change. Looks like it did 5 minutes ago, or an hour, or the moment you arrived. It could have been waiting there long before you came. Maybe for you, maybe why not. You slide it a little farther across the table. Not enough to spill, just enough to say, I'm still deciding. The cellar keeper stirs. It's subtle. A hand shifting from her keys to the table edge. A tilt of the head. You can't tell if she approves or disapproves. She doesn't speak. She never does. Her silence holds more weight than speech anyway. A man near the dice crate starts coughing again. Dry at first, then wet. He bends forward, hacking into a stained cloth that doesn't catch much. He doesn't look up, no one moves to help. The boy flinches, just once. A twitch of his shoulder. He pulls his knees tighter. You feel the hairs on your arms rise, not from fear exactly, from recognition. Something in the rhythm of the cough matches the cellar's breath. You don't know what that means, but it matters. Another figure slips out from behind the curtain. A woman this time, younger. Hair braided in thick ropes, eyes dark and shining. Her expression is unreadable. She holds something in her hands, a folded cloth, pale and stiff. She doesn't speak, just moves to the cellar keeper, bows slightly, and places the cloth on the table. Then she turns, walks back through the curtain, and vanishes. The boy watches her go. His mouth parts slightly, like he might speak. He doesn't. The cloth remains. No one touches it. The cellar keeper doesn't look at it. You study the edges, frayed, stained, stitched in places with red thread. It might be a handkerchief. It might be something else entirely. You don't ask. Someone behind you whispers, too low to catch words, but not too low to ignore. You feel the heat of it on the back of your neck, though there's no breath. Just sound, a soft string of syllables you've never heard before. Foreign, maybe, or forgotten. The boy flinches again. His eyes go wide for a moment, then narrow. You glance at him. He shakes his head once, barely. It's not for you. Or maybe it is. A warning, a refusal, a memory. You close your eyes, and for a second the entire room feels like it tilts. Not violently, just enough that the mugs ripple. The candles flicker sideways. When you open your eyes again, the whisper is gone. The warmth has returned. The cloth still lies untouched. The man who coughed stands. He holds onto the edge of the table with both hands. His fingers are white with tension. No one tells him to sit. No one helps him up. He nods at no one and steps toward the curtain. The way he walks reminds you of a ship listing in shallow water. Off balance, but not lost. He disappears behind the grain sack curtain, and once again it falls still. The woman who laughed earlier mutters something to herself. The boy begins drawing shapes on the tabletop with one finger. Circles, lines, an X. You don't recognize the pattern, but he repeats it again and again. Not absent-minded, not quite deliberate, like muscle memory. You watch until he stops. Your throat is dry again. You don't remember swallowing much. The mug, the first one, is still gone. The pale pint remains. You haven't touched it since that first near mistake. You wonder if it would even matter now. If drinking it would change anything. Or if the choice was made the moment you entered. The boy glances up at you. He doesn't smile. He just says softly, "You have to choose soon." His voice is smaller than you expected. Flat. Final. Doesn't carry a threat. Just a truth. You nod, though you're not sure what part you're agreeing with. The cellar groans again, wood and stone shifting in tandem. The keys on the cellar keeper's hip chime once, high and clean. The curtain doesn't stir again for a long while. Long enough that you begin to wonder if it ever moved at all. The boy's finger rests on one of the X's he drew. His eyes have lost some of their focus. His knees are still to his chest. You feel the cellar shifting, not physically, but perceptually, like looking through fogged glass that clears and then clouds again. The crowd around you has thinned without thinning. You swear the same number of bodies are here, and yet, somehow, less. A man by the barrels leans over to whisper into the wall. His words are soft and affectionate, like he's speaking to someone he once loved. He laughs, gently. No one reacts. He goes quiet again. You think you hear your name? It echoes off the stone in a way that feels accidental. You turn toward the sound, but no one is looking at you. No one has moved. Still, you can't shake the feeling that someone just now remembered who you are. Or who you were. You touch your chest, feel your heartbeat. It's slow, steady, far away. Your skin is damp. From the air, from from the drink, from something else. You think about standing. You think about the door you came through, the way the stones were slick beneath your boots, how the hand pulled you in before you saw the face. You think about the bakery above, the smell of rising dough, the illusion of safety, the lie of daylight. The cellar keeper lifts her hand and points, not at you, not at anyone, just toward the pale pint. It's the only movement she's made in minutes. The boy sees it too. He doesn't move. The table creaks. The humming stops. You look around. Everyone is still. One woman holds a crust of bread inches from her mouth. A man has a spoon halfway to his lips. No one blinks. The boy swallows. You hear it, loud, thick, unnatural. He looks at you again. The latch creaks soon, he says. His voice is lower now, older. You try to ask what that means, but the words die in your throat. You stare at the pint. The foam hasn't moved. The air around it is still. Then the latch creaks. Not loud, not sharp, just soft enough that you know what it is. The door, the original one, is breathing. You don't know how else to describe it. You don't turn to look, no one does. But everyone hears it, feels it. The wood shifts, the lock gives slightly. Something on the other side exhales. The boy closes his eyes. It's almost time, he says. The man by the barrels whispers a goodbye to the stone. The woman with the crust lowers her bread. The humming resumes, but it's not the same voice. It's deeper now, slower. The cellar keeper takes one step forward. The first she's taken since you arrived. Her boots echo once and then stop. The mug hasn't moved. The pint sits on the table as patient as it was an hour ago. Or a day. You reach toward it. Your fingers stop just shy of the handle. You turn your hand, push it slightly farther down the table, and then draw your hand back. You look to the boy. He nods once. The cellar exhales. One candle gutters and dies. The room dims. You feel your breath hitch. You feel the sweat on your spine. You don't know if it's fear or relief. The latch creaks again, louder this time. The door doesn't open, but it's ready to. That's worse. Something waits beyond it. Not light, not freedom. Just something new. The boy lowers his legs to the floor. He stands. For the first time you hear his feet touch the stone. You expect them to slap or scrape. They don't. They land in silence. He walks past you, not toward the door, toward the curtain, the one no one else returns from. He doesn't hesitate. The cloth parts without touch. He walks through. He doesn't look back. He doesn't take the mug. The cellar keeper turns to face the wall. One hand lifts the keys. She removes the missing one, held between her fingers now like a coin. She taps it once against the stone. The sound rings out like a bell too soft to wake the living, but too loud for the dead. You rise, not because you want to, not because anyone asked, but because your body has decided. Your legs ache from stillness, but they obey. The stool slides back with a whisper. Everyone hears it. No one turns. Your hands rest lightly on the table. You take nothing with you. Not the bread, not the mug, not the pint. It stays where it is. You step away. The air around you feels thinner now, sharper. The cellar stretches in directions that weren't there before. The crates seem taller, the beams lower, the people quieter. You walk with soft steps toward the curtain. You don't know why. Maybe to follow the boy. Maybe to see what lies past the sacks and darkness. You stop when you reach the cloth. It doesn't part. Behind you the latch creaks a third time. It echoes now, louder than it should. It rattles something in your ribs. The curtain remains still. The cellar keeper watches. Her grey eye glints. The key in her hand dangles from 2 fingers now. Loose. Offering. She doesn't speak. She never has. You understand her anyway. You don't need to go through the curtain. Not yet. Maybe not ever. The door is waking. The door you came through. Or something like it. You step back. The pint still waits. The room is silent again. You notice things you didn't before. A name scratched into the beam above your seat. Your name, your handwriting. You stare at it too long. You don't remember carving it. You don't remember touching a knife. And yet it's there, sharp and clean. The letters precise. You trace them with one finger. The grain of the wood stings your skin. You turn back toward the table. Everyone's seated again. The boy is gone. His stool is empty. A candle has burned out near his place. The cloth is gone from the cellar keeper's table. The curtain hangs straight. Still, someone coughs. A dry sound now. A dying ember of noise. You take your seat again. It groans beneath your weight like an old friend who didn't think you'd come back. The pint is gone, not spilled, not drunk, just gone. A mug appears. Your old one. Or something like it. Half full, no foam, warm. You lift it without thinking, you drink. Tastes like the first time, leather and mint, with something buried beneath it. Something hard to name. You don't gag. It goes down easier now. The warmth in the room returns. Not oppressive, not strange, just warmth. Someone near the dice game chuckles softly. The game hasn't resumed, but the crate remains. The dice rest atop it, untouched. You set your mug down. It makes a dull sound. You rub your hands together. They feel dry, dusty. You look at your fingertips. They're stained with something that wasn't on the table before. The cellar keeper returns to her post. She leans back against her beam. The keys vanish beneath her cloak. The candle nearest her flares once, then steadies. The room breathes again, not loudly, not in unison, but enough. A rhythm resumes, the kind you'd forgotten you were part of. The stew pot is gone. The bread remains. A hand you don't see slides across toward you. You accept it. You chew. It's stale. It's real. It fills your mouth like stone. The dice rattle. No one throws them. They just move. Someone whispers behind the barrels. You recognize the voice now. It's your own. Repeating a line you haven't said yet. You don't try to stop it. You realize slowly that you've forgotten the sound of rain, the feel of outside air, the shape of your name when spoken aloud. It doesn't frighten you. It just is, like the way stone holds heat long after the fire dies. You sit, you sip, you chew. Someone hums. The curtain stirs once, only a breeze. The boy does not return. The cellar keeper smiles, just barely, just for a moment. The game begins again. You know you'll play soon. Not yet, but soon. The latch does not creak again. You stare into the grain of the table. It's soaked with more than just spilled ale. Stories pressed deep into its fibres. Fists slammed, bread torn, blood wiped, secrets whispered. It's not clean. Nothing here is. But it's worn down in a way that feels familiar, like an old coat or a song you've forgotten the words to but still hum without realising. You trace a knot in the wood with your finger. Someone across from you does the same. You don't look up. Neither do they. It's enough to know someone else remembers what hands are for. Holding, pointing, carving, steadying. Not just clenching. Not just pulling mugs toward the mouths that no longer taste. The cellar's rhythm begins to change again. It's subtle. A shift in tone. A chair moved without sound. A breath drawn that doesn't end in a sigh. The humming fades, replaced by a scraping noise behind the barrels. Slow and deliberate. You don't turn to look. You know better. Some things are more real when they stay on the edge of your vision. The scrape pauses, then resumes. The man with the 3 extra teeth at the dice crate raises one brow just slightly. He doesn't play tonight. No one does. The crate remains untouched. The dice remain still. It feels like the game is watching you now, waiting to be played by someone who won't win. You reach for your mug again. It's lighter now, not empty, just not full. You drink without thinking. The liquid is the same as before, but you taste something new. Wood smoke, crushed violet, and the ghost of an apology. You let it sit on your tongue. Then you swallow. The room sighs again, but it's quieter. The cellar keeper shifts her weight. The keys don't jingle this time. They rest against her hip like bones. A woman at the far end of the table begins to braid her hair, even though it's already tied. The motion is slow, ritual. She hums under her breath. The tune is older, maybe something a mother once sang to a fevered child. Maybe something older. The boy doesn't return, but his place remains empty. The candle he left behind is now a pool of wax, dried and hardened. No one sits in his spot. No one speaks of him. You almost wonder if he was ever really there. But you remember his voice. You remember the weight of his stare. You remember the word he said, soon. That word clings to you now, not like fear, like responsibility. You glance back at the curtain. It hasn't moved. You still don't want to see what's beyond it. But you know you'll go eventually. Everyone does. Even the ones who came down just to sit. Even the ones who haven't stood since. A man across the room carves something into the underside of his stool. You can't see the shape, only the motion. It's quick, repeated, urgent. His back is hunched low. His hair falls over his eyes. No one tells him to stop. The cellar allows it. For now, you press your thumb into the scar on your palm. When did that happen? You don't remember hurting yourself, but the pain is familiar. Present. It pulses lightly in rhythm with the breath of the room. You close your eyes for a moment. In the dark, you hear laughter. Far away. Faint, but not cruel. The kind of laughter people used to share when bread was warm and the sun stayed out past supper. The curtain stirs again, just slightly. No one moves. You stare at it. The cloth shifts as if breathing. The space behind it hums. Not a sound, a vibration. You feel it in your teeth. You open your eyes wider. The room is unchanged, yet everything feels ready, coiled. The door behind you does not creak. The key is not offered. Your time has not come, but it waits. And now, so do you. The cellar does not speak, but it listens. And what it hears, it remembers. You lean your head back. The stone behind you is no longer cold. It breathes slowly, like something asleep that dreams of smoke and dust. You close your eyes and listen. Footsteps, maybe. Not boots. Bare feet, pads silent against the floor, the scrape of a bench, the sharp exhale of someone laughing without joy. You keep still. The cellar wants you to listen, not look. The difference matters. The ceiling groans softly. A puff of ash drifts from one of the beams, catching the light like a falling star. Someone sighs again. A mug tips and rolls across a table, bouncing once before stopping at the edge. It doesn't fall. It just waits, like everything else down here. You open your eyes, your hands are folded. You didn't do that. Your fingers are dry. Your palms are marked with faint smears, ink maybe. You don't remember writing anything, but you know the marks are yours. You look toward the beam again. Your name is still there, fresh as ever, carved clean without hesitation. You consider asking the person across from you if they see it too, but you know better. Questions carry weight. Down here, every word risks becoming permanent. You let the silence settle instead. A woman down the line wipes something from her mouth. Her sleeve is damp. Her eyes are closed. Her food untouched. A loaf of bread sits beside her hand, flattened slightly by her palm. The cellar keeper moves again. A step forward. Slow. Measured. She turns her face toward the curtain. Everyone watches now. No one turns away. The curtain flutters, not with wind, but will. Something behind it shifts. The woman with the flattened bread begins to hum, soft and tuneless. The man who is carving into the stool rises. His hands shake. He walks toward the curtain. The cellar keeper doesn't stop him. Her eyes follow, dim and deliberate. He passes you. You smell sweat and wax and something sharp, like lightning trapped in wool. He reaches the cloth. It parts, slow and smooth. He steps through. It falls still. No one speaks. You place your mug in front of you. You don't drink. You wait. The curtain holds your gaze even as the room resumes its rhythm. Someone starts laughing again. Not wild, not joyful, just a dull chuckle that curls into the air and fades. The bread is passed again. You accept it without thinking. It's soft this time. Warm. You take a bite. It tastes of rosemary and something burned. Your mouth dries. You sip once. The taste has changed again. Now it's like rain on iron. The boy's seat remains empty. You wonder if someone new will take it, but no one moves toward it. Not yet. It stays as he left it. Knees curled into the wood, candle long extinguished. The room creaks, not from motion but memory. The walls seem closer, the light more tired. A man presses his forehead to the table and weeps silently into his arms. No one tells him to stop. The cellar keeps him company. The cellar keeps all of you company. It's not cruel, just consistent. You begin to notice more names carved around the beam. One you think you knew once, another that feels familiar for no reason. You reach into your pocket without knowing why. There's a folded scrap of paper there. You don't remember placing it. You unfold it. Blank, at first, but as you watch, ink seeps up. A single word appears in uneven script. Stay. You fold it again and return it to your pocket. Not because you believe it, but because you understand it. That's what the cellar does. It doesn't command, it offers. Quiet choices, small tests, mugs you don't remember lifting, songs you didn't mean to hum, names you forgot were yours. You sit, you wait. The dice don't roll, the curtain doesn't move, the cellar breathes, and still you remain. The candle nearest you flickers. Just once. It doesn't go out, but its flame curls sideways for a moment like it's listening to something just out of reach. You glance down. Your mug is gone again. You don't know when it left. You didn't finish it, but you're not thirsty. Not anymore. You hear a chair shift behind you. A boot slides softly across stone. The sound is neither invitation nor threat. It's simply motion. Familiar, inevitable. The woman who was humming stops. Her hands remain folded neatly on her lap. She opens her eyes. They are glassy but calm. She doesn't speak, doesn't move, just listens. The dice are gone. You don't remember anyone picking them up. The cellar keeper tilts her head, just barely. She looks toward the far end of the room. One man stands. His face is blank. Not afraid. Not resigned. Just still. He holds a mug in both hands. His fingers tremble slightly, but he doesn't spill a drop. He walks slowly toward the curtain. No one looks away. No one stops him. As he steps behind it, the cloth lifts like breath drawn in. The scent that drifts out is sweet and old, lavender and smoke, dust and honey. You swallow without realizing. When the curtain falls again, the scent lingers for a breath. Then it's gone. The cellar resets. The breath of the place deepens. The room grows still. You feel something shift beneath your stool. Not the stone floor, something deeper. A low hum rising through your boots, threading into your knees. Your name, carved above, catches the light. You look up at it. It seems newer now, or maybe it's just darker. You place your hand on the wood. It's warm, too warm. You pull away. The ink on your palm from earlier is gone, or absorbed. Someone behind you whispers again. A new voice this time. It speaks a word you don't understand, but the feeling behind it is clear. It means not yet. It means wait. You listen. You don't ask who spoke. The cellar doesn't offer names. The boy's seat is no longer empty, but no one saw anyone sit there. The stool now holds a shadow, a shape without shape. You blink. It's gone. The candle next to it flares and dies. The wax runs down like blood, thick and slow. The man beside you breathes out through his nose. He hasn't spoken once. You don't think he ever will. A crust of bread appears in front of you. You break it without thought. It crumbles too easily, like dust compressed just long enough to remember it was once food. You eat it anyway. The cellar approves. The warmth at your feet grows stronger. The room exhales. You close your eyes. For the first time you feel your heartbeat matching the rhythm of this place. Something behind the barrels shifts again. Louder now. More deliberate. Like furniture being dragged across stone. No one reacts. You listen. The sound ends in a thud. Then silence. The curtain flutters but doesn't part. You begin to wonder if it leads anywhere at all, or if it's just part of the room. A boundary that exists only to be wondered about. You wonder what you'd find behind it. Not a door. Not a tunnel. Maybe not even a room. Just more cellar, or less. You rub your thumb against your fingertips. The ink might be gone, but the memory of it isn't. It itches in a way you can't scratch. The woman with the braided hair starts humming again. The same tune, reversed. A plate is set in front of you. You didn't see who brought it. The food is unfamiliar, shaped like bread but coloured like charcoal, soft and warm in the centre. You tear a piece off. Eat it. Tastes like root vegetables and ash, like something buried and found again. You chew slowly. The cellar quiets. Your breath fogs for the first time in hours. The warmth is fading. You feel it pulling back, not gone, just watching from farther away. A pause, a held note. You swallow. The plate disappears. Your fingers are stained again, not ink, not soot. Something older. The candle flickers, the curtain waits. You rise slowly. This time no one watches. No one shifts or reacts. The stool creaks beneath you but feels lighter, like the wood is tired of your weight. You take a step forward, and the warmth underfoot vanishes completely. Your boots tap against bare stone now, no breath or heat left in them. The cellar keeper does not look up. She's turned slightly toward the curtain again. The keys at her side sway once, as if moved by an unseen breeze. You pass the boy's stool. It's empty again. No wax, no shadow, just wood, silent and waiting. You feel something brush past your sleeve. You don't turn and there's nothing to see, but it leaves the faint smell of mint and something burned. The curtain is closer now. You don't remember taking the last few steps. You're just there. The fabric is still. The scent of the room changes with each breath. Mould, wine, vinegar, old bread. A flicker of hay, a thread of blood. You don't lift your hand. You don't need to. The curtain lifts just slightly as if it knew you were coming. Behind it, darkness. Not black, just unlit. The kind of dark you feel in your throat. You hesitate. You think of the bakery, the alley, the wooden panel that opened sideways. You wonder if those things still exist, or if they were never really there. You glance over your shoulder. No one looks at you, but every face is turned your way, and you step back, not through the curtain, just back. You aren't ready. Or maybe you are, but you want to wait one more minute. The cellar understands. It makes room for hesitation. You return to your seat. The stool groans again, but accepts you. The warmth returns, just faintly. The mug appears. It's not the pale pint, it's your mug, or one shaped like memory. You lift it. You sip. The taste is bitter now. Dandelion, soot and bone. It doesn't make you flinch. Your tongue knows the flavour too well. The curtain falls still, the cellar returns to its rhythm. Dice roll once across an unseen table. No one laughs. A spoon scrapes a bowl clean. The cellar keeper closes her eyes. First the grey one, then the milky one. Her fingers brush the keys. She doesn't choose one. Not yet. You glance toward the beam above. Your name is gone. The wood has smoothed over, as if it was never carved at all, or as if you've been forgotten. That idea should unsettle you, but it doesn't. Instead, it makes room. Inside your chest, behind your eyes. You sip again. The mug is empty. You didn't notice drinking it all. A plate appears. Bread and cheese. You eat without thought. Your jaw moves like it remembers the task, even if your mind doesn't. The bread is warm, the cheese soft, the flavour of endings. Someone near the back begins speaking, not loudly, but clearly. A list of names, spoken slowly like reciting from memory. None of them are yours, at least not now. Each name lands heavy. A candle dims with every word. By the time the list ends, only 4 flames remain. The speaker stops, no one claps, no one responds, but the silence after feels full, like a room catching its breath. You feel the cellar grow colder again. The air thins. The boy's voice whispers from the back of your thoughts. You have to choose soon. You nod. To no one. The mug is gone. The curtain waits. The door does not creak. The dice rest. The cellar listens. You close your eyes again. This time longer. The sounds around you continue, but softer now. Breaths taken slower. Chews more thoughtful. Sips stretched longer than they should be. The cellar has fed you, tested you, watched you. It hasn't asked much, but it will, eventually. And when it does, you'll go. Through the curtain, or through the door, or deeper into this place that doesn't end. For now, you see, you sit. You breathe. And the cellar holds you gently in its damp, silent hands. You wake without realizing you'd slept. Eyes open, spine stiff, palms resting flat on the table. The cellar hasn't changed, but something in your body has. A heaviness in your knees, a softness behind your eyes. You don't feel rested, you feel rearranged. The humming has stopped. The curtain hasn't moved. The woman who was braiding her hair now wears it loose. She no longer eats. She holds a mug with both hands and stares into it like it might show her something she's lost. A man nearby begins to whistle. It's a broken melody. Sharp in places, then swallowed whole. The note dies against the ceiling beams. A drop of wax falls. A rat runs somewhere unseen. Your hands are stained again. Not ink, not food, not something from this world. The marks are dark and familiar. Shapes you can't name but recognize anyway. You run a thumb over them, but they don't smear. The marks are part of your skin now. Not tattoos, not wounds, just stories maybe. Old ones, older than you. The cellar watches but doesn't speak. You rise again. This time your body doesn't resist. The stool slides back easily. No one looks. The curtain waits. You move toward it slowly, counting steps you can't hear. You stop just short. The cloth is still. The air is dry. No scent, no sound. You raise your hand. You pause. A voice behind you says your name. The real one. Not the one you've worn now. You've worn down here, the one you've almost forgotten. You turn. No one is looking at you, no one has moved. But someone said it. You felt the shape of it in your spine. You face the curtain again. You speak the name aloud. The curtain shifts. Not to open, just to acknowledge. Like it remembers you now, or forgives you. You step back, you don't go through. Not yet. The cellar isn't finished with you. The dice have rolled again, you didn't hear them. But they're showing sevens now. The sum of endings. The start of something else. Someone claps once. Then silence. You sit again. Bread appears. You break it and pass half to no one. The gesture matters more than the act. The mug reappears. You don't question it. You drink. It tastes like soil and sunrise. You sip again. The taste fades to water and ash. You chew slowly. The cellar creaks, just once, like a ship shifting its weight. The woman with the loose hair stands. She carries her mug to the curtain and sets it down beside it. She does not go through. She returns to her seat and weeps into her hands. No one consoles her. But no one looks away. Everyone understands. That's all the cellar ever asks. Another stool is empty now. You didn't see who left. No one says their name. The candle next to it burns higher than the others. You realise you haven't seen the ceiling in a while. You look up. It's gone. Not missing. Just further away. As if the room has grown or you've shrunk. You don't feel smaller. You feel distant. Like your body's here, but the rest of you is floating just above. The cellar allows that. It doesn't pull you down. It just waits. You hold your breath for a moment. No one notices. You exhale. The cellar exhales with you. It's quiet, not empty, just listening. Always still, always listening. You press your hands to the table. It's solid. Warm again. The marks on your skin glow faintly in the candlelight. They pulse when you breathe. You don't know what they mean, but you know they are real. You eat another piece of bread. You drink the rest of the mug. The taste no longer matters. It all tastes like the cellar now. Like silence and waiting and stories too long buried. The curtain stirs, just once. You close your eyes and whisper your name again. The cellar does not answer, but you feel it smile. The candle beside the curtain gutters one last time and dies. Smoke coils upward, thin and grey, then vanishes into nothing. No one reacts, not even the cellar keeper, though you know she saw it. You see everything eventually, if you sit here long enough. The smoke leaves behind a scent like damp fabric and old citrus. A memory you can't quite place. Someone begins speaking behind you, softly, gently, like telling a bedtime story. The words aren't in a language you know, but you understand the tone. Farewell. Gratitude. The story ends, and with it, another plate disappears. The person who ate from it is gone too. The stool remains, the mug remains, but the person has become part of the cellar now. You feel that in your ribs, you rise, you don't mean to. Your body simply does. You leave the stool pushed out like you plan to return, you don't. The cellar knows. You walk past faces you no longer recognise. Faces that have grown softer, blurrier, as if they were drawn in charcoal then smudged. You brush the beam again. Your name is still gone, but you see another one there now. The boy's. Carved smaller, lower. Underneath it, a mark that looks like a door. Not a drawing, not a symbol, just the suggestion of a door. A line, a shape, a quiet possibility. You press your hand there. The wood pulses under your palm. You smile. You don't know why, but it feels right. You approach the curtain one final time. The room has quieted. No food, no dice, no whispers, just the flicker of the few candles that remain and the breath of the cellar. Now low and steady. You feel the key in your pocket. You didn't put it there, but it's warm against your thigh and it's yours. You lift your hand. The curtain doesn't wait till this time. It opens before your fingers brush it, slow and smooth, revealing not a room, not a passage, just light. Dim, flickering, golden. It spills out like mist, curling around your boots. The air smells of ash and rosemary. Of endings. You take a step. No one stops you. No one watches. They're all turned inward now, listening to the stories only they can hear. Your foot hits dry wood. A floor different from the one behind you. The temperature shifts. Warmer, cleaner, less wet. You take another step. The light thickens, becoming shape. A bench. A door. A window you can't see through. The world on the other side of the curtain begins to form, not clearly but enough to feel real. You feel lighter. Your coat hangs off your shoulders. The bread in your stomach settles. You realize you're no longer hungry. You haven't been, not for food, not for hours. The cellar doesn't feed the body, not really. It feeds the part of you that never quite found rest. You exhale. The light grows. You hear the door behind you creak. Not slam, not shut. Just creak. The way a door does when it's waiting to be opened again. You don't turn around. The light is stronger now. You walk forward. The air becomes drier. The scent of smoke fades. The rosemary remains. A small table appears, a stool, a blank page, a quill resting beside it, already dipped. You sit without hesitation. You don't ask what the paper is for. You already know. The cellar gave you a seat. No, you give it back. You begin to write. Your hand does not shake. The words come quickly. They always do when you're ready. And now you are. Each letter feels like a breath. Each sentence a release. You write until your fingers ache, until the light flickers, until the paper curls slightly at the edges. When you finish, you place the key beside the page. You stand. The light lifts. The curtain is gone. There is no room anymore. Just the sense of having gone somewhere and come back changed. You don't need to remember everything. You don't need to stay. You walk toward the sound of the latch creaking one last time, not as a warning, but a welcome. The cellar has finished with you, and you with it. You rise from the table, but the seat you leave behind is not empty. Not entirely. Some part of you remains. Echo, scent, warmth pressed into the wood. The cellar holds these pieces for safekeeping, like pressed flowers in a forgotten book. You step into the fading light, your breath steady, boots quiet. The cellar's sounds grow distant. The drip of wax, the scrape of stool legs, the quiet chew of bread. They remain, but you've passed their boundary. Your footsteps land on dry stone now. The dampness recedes. A cool breeze moves past your collar. Not wind, not quite, just the sensation of something being lifted. The tunnel ahead is narrow but straight, dug by hands you'll never meet, for reasons no one remembers. Not grand, not sacred, just necessary. The ceiling is low, the walls unfinished. You run a hand along one as you pass. The texture is rough, crumbling. It leaves a powder on your fingertips. You don't brush it off. You walk until you see it. The ladder. Wooden, old but strong. A rope dangles beside it. Unnecessary but comforting. You glance up. Nothing but shadow above. You begin to climb. Each rung creaks under your weight, but holds. The climb is short. When you reach the top, the air changes again. You press your hands against the hatch. It gives, slow and quiet, and opens into dawn. Pale light, soft as milk, spills into your eyes. You squint. The street is empty. The bakery above you stands silent. The shutters are closed. The shop sign creaks in the breeze. You pull yourself out, stand and turn. There's no door. No hatch. Just a patch of old brick wall and a bit of soot on your palm. You step away slowly. The street smells like morning bread, coal ash, and the barest trace of yeast. You wonder how long you've been gone. You wonder what day it is. You check your coat pocket. It's empty. No key. No note. No crumb. You walk. Slowly, then with more confidence. The city is not yet awake. A milk cart rattles far off. A dog barks and then quiets. You pass the corner where you remember first seeing the alley. It's still there, but different. Narrower. Bricked halfway. The bakery's facade is cleaner than you remember. The soot on the windows has been wiped. A new name hangs above the door. You don't recognize it. You keep walking. Each step feels lighter, but your boots still carry a trace of dampness. You glance down. The marks on your hands are fading. Not gone, just quiet now, like something finished speaking but still listening. You reach the edge of your street. A lamplighter nods to you. You nod back. He doesn't seem to notice anything strange about you. Maybe there's nothing strange left. Maybe the cellar took more than it gave, or maybe it gave you something else. You pause at your door. The key fits. The lock turns. Inside, everything's where you left it. The bread on the table is stale. The candle has burned low. You sit in your chair. You take off your boots. You set your hands flat on the table. The grain is smooth, unmarked. For now. You don't eat, you don't speak, you just let the quiet settle around you like a second skin. You breathe in, you breathe out, and for the first time in what feels like years, the air doesn't taste like cellars. It tastes like home, but you know better now. You know places like that never really let go. You don't dream that night, or if you do, you don't remember. But sometime before waking, you hear it again. Not loud, just a whisper. A knock. 2 short, 1 long. You sit up slowly. The candle beside your bed is still lit. The room is cold. You bow, you smile. You don't rise, you don't need to. The cellar isn't calling you back, it's just reminding you made it out. And not everyone does. The morning drifts past you without shape. You sit by the window watching the street fill with people who don't know what you know. A boy runs past with a crust of bread in his fist. A woman sweeps her stoop. A bell rings 2 streets away. None of them notice you. You are a shape within a shape, shadowed just enough to pass unseen. You touch your sleeve. It's dry, your hands no longer tremble. But when you close your eyes, you still feel the heat of the cellar beneath your feet. Not haunting, just present. The way old aches surface when the rain returns. The way your name echoes if you say it softly enough into silence. You glance at your hands again. The stains are gone, your palms are pale, your fingers steady, but your fingertips remember. If you touched the table now, you know you'd still feel the grain of that beam. You know where your name was, you wonder how many others have gone through. How many returned, how many stayed. You think of the boy, his clean feet, his quiet voice, the way he said soon, like a promise and a warning. You wonder how long he sat down there before you noticed him. You wonder if someone else has seen him since. You wonder if he ever really left. Some stories wear the shape of children, not to be trusted, just to be remembered. Later you take a walk. The streets are busier now, the air warmer. The chimneys release soft trails of smoke into the spring sky. You pass familiar shops, familiar corners. The scent of soap and flour drifts from an open window. But something in your pace is different. You no longer rush. Your feet fall in even rhythm. You stop more often, watching, listening. You don't expect to see the door again. You wouldn't knock even if you did. But when you reach the corner near the bakery, you pause. The bricks are smooth, newer than the others. Someone's patched this wall with care, but one stone near the ground is marked. You crouch. You press your hand to it. A faint shape lingers beneath your fingers. It's not your name, but it's someone's. A scratch, a symbol, a breath-in stone. You smile, not with joy, just with understanding. You rise. You walk away. The stone remains. The door does not open, but you know it's still there. The cellar does not advertise itself. It doesn't recruit. It waits. It remembers. And when the right person comes to knock, it listens. You wonder what brought you there. Was it a choice? A mistake? Or just time? None of those matter anymore. What matters is that you left, and the story didn't end there. You return home as the sun begins to lower. The light through your windows is soft, gold tinged with a blue. You sit again at your table. You run your fingers across its surface. Still smooth, still unmarked. But now you know what it means to leave something behind. You pick up a scrap of paper. You don't write. You don't need to. You fold it once. You place it under a candle. Tomorrow you might toss it, or keep it. But for now, it rests. You breathe in. You breathe out. The cellar isn't calling, but you hear it still. That soft creak. That gentle knock. A reminder that underneath every city some things wait. That night, you sleep deeply. Your dreams are quiet, but not empty. You walk a corridor lit with flickering light. You see names carved into beams. A stool with no dust on it. A curtain that doesn't move. And always, the scent of bread and smoke, of wax and vinegar, of rosemary and something older. You wake before sunrise, you light a candle. You sit at your table, hands folded. And for just a moment before the city stirs, you will say, "Thank you." Not aloud, not for anyone to hear, just quietly. Like a prayer meant for stone. And the silence that answers is kind. You spend the day in silence, not out of sadness, not from weariness, but because there's nothing left to say that words would improve. The world hums along around you. Barrows squeaking, boots scraping, merchants hawking onions from the corner stall. You hear all of it. You just let it pass. No need to answer, no need to step into the noise. You know something now that others don't. Not a secret, not a curse, just a truth most people are lucky never to notice. That there are doors in cities no maps include, that not all darkness is empty. that some silences remember your name. At dusk, you light another candle. The wax hisses. You don't flinch, you think again of the pale pint. You never drank it. You wonder what would have happened if you had. Would it have erased something, or simply changed how you remembered? The boy warned you, others didn't, but they all knew. You wonder how many mugs you finished, how many stories you overheard without hearing. You think of the woman who wept into her hands, the man who carved into his stool, the ones who passed through the curtain, the ones who didn't return, the ones who didn't need to. You stir your tea with a spoon that feels too light. You sip slowly. It tastes faintly of cloves. The marks on your hands have faded, but sometimes in the right light, they return. Briefly. Just enough to remind you they were never fully gone. You watch them shift in the candle glow, lines and curves, a quiet map. You turn your hand upon, and the marks vanish again. You smile. You didn't ask for a lesson. But the cellar gave you one. Not in words, in waiting, in sheerness, in presence. It didn't want you to understand, just to know this, and you did. That's enough. You glance toward your door. No one knocks. The city doesn't call you, but you feel its weight, gently. The weight of something living under its own skin. You take a walk just after nightfall. The air smells of coal, lavender, and milk. The moon is thin, the stars are faint. You pass the bakery. It's still closed. A different name now. A new hand. You touch the bricks once more. That faint groove is still there. No clearer, no deeper, but your fingers find it. That's what matters. You keep walking. You pass a cart of cabbage, covered with a blanket. A cat follows you 3 steps and then stops. The city breathes differently now, not heavier, just aware. You feel the same, not wiser, not older, just more in it, as if you see through a layer others don't know is there. You return home as the last of the candles burn low. You sit at your table, the stool no longer creaks. You reach into your coat and pull out a note. Blank. It wasn't there yesterday. You unfold it. Slowly ink blooms across the paper. A single word. Listen. You nod. You fold it again. You set it beside the old mug on your shelf. You don't need to do anything else. The message is enough. The memory is enough. You haven't left the cellar. Not completely. But that's not a curse. It's just a shape you carry now. One that fits you better than you expected. Later that night, as the wind shifts and the city groans under its own weight, you wake to the softest of knocks. 2 short, 1 long. You don't rise, you don't need to. The cellar isn't calling you back, it's just checking in. You smile, even in the dark. You whisper a name you haven't spoken aloud in years. Maybe yours, maybe the boys', maybe someone else's. It doesn't matter. The cellar hears it. It remembers you. And that, you understand now, is all it ever meant to do. The next morning brings light so pale it hardly seems real. You sit by the window again, watching the world emerge from fog. The bakery opens. A new baker leans out the door and sweeps the step. He hums a tune you almost recognize. You close your eyes for just a breath. Behind your eyelids, the cellar flickers. Not as a place, but a feeling. Bread passed hand to hand. A mug growing full without sound. A voice telling you to choose. You smile faintly. You've already chosen, and you're still choosing, with every breath that leaves your lungs in silence. The cellar doesn't need you now, but that doesn't mean it's gone. Later you pass a market. A girl drops a coin in the dust. You stoop to retrieve it and pause. Your fingers brush the stone. The chill is familiar, not the cold of weather, the cold of memory. You hand her the coin. She thanks you and runs off. You watch her braid bounce as she disappears into the crowd. For a moment, you're not sure whether it was your hand that touched the street or the cellar's. They aren't so different now. You feel both the dirt and the pulse beneath it, and you don't resist. You just stand and walk on. That's how it works now. It never leaves you. But it never pulls too hard. That night you dream of stairs that lead nowhere, of keys that open nothing, of bread that breaks like stone. And in the middle of the dream, a curtain you do not touch. You wake with the feeling of wax on your fingertips and dust in your mouth. You light a candle. The flame steadies you. You sit at the table, and for the first time in days, you write. Nothing grand, just a line, a memory of a warmth that didn't come from fire. You fold it and tuck it under your mug. Later, you won't remember writing it, but that doesn't matter. It will stay. The cellar keeps what matters. At the end of the week, you find yourself drawn to the alley again. Not by sound, not by scent. Just a soft tug from somewhere behind your ribs. You follow. The bakery door is closed, the bricks still patched. You place your palm flat against them. You close your eyes. Nothing happens. And that is the gift. You're not meant to return, you're meant to carry it with you. You remove your hand. The warmth lingers. You breathe in. A faint trace of rosemary. A sliver of yeast. A heartbeat beneath the stone. You smile, not from happiness, just recognition. The kind you offer an old friend across a room. The season changes. You begin to forget names, but not faces. You don't recall the street where you entered, but you remember the footsteps, the keys, the whisper of your name from someone unseen. Your hands stay steady. Your sleep comes easily. But the cellar hums beneath all things. You hear it in the way people pause before speaking, in the way certain doors seem heavier than they should. You walk often. You eat slowly. You listen more than you talk. And when someone near you stares off uncertain, you say nothing. You just wait, because you know they might be hearing it too. The hum, the warmth, the knock. In time, you stop wondering if it was real. That was never the point. The cellar doesn't care about belief, only presence, only return. Not in body, but in breath. And as long as you breathe, it waits. Not for your feet, but for your stillness, for your silence, for your willingness to listen when nothing else speaks. You live your life, the city continues. But when night falls soft and long, and your room quiets, you still sometimes find yourself whispering into the dark. Not for answers, just in case the cellar is listening. Just to let it know you remember. On the coldest morning of the year, you wake before the sun, your windows are rimmed with frost. The kettle whistles with a shrill you forgot it could make. You wrap yourself in a thick coat and stare into your mug. This one is real. Earthenware. Chipped near the base. You sip slowly. The warmth doesn't reach far, but it's honest. Outside, the frost eats colour from the streets. The stone glows silver. You walk anyway, your boots crunch over frozen puddles. The air smells of ash and winter roots. Somewhere in the distance a bell tolls once. The kind of hour people forget to count. You keep walking, you don't have a reason, you don't need one. You reach the bakery, though it isn't yours, not anymore. The sign has changed again, the bricks are fresh, but your hand moves anyway. You brush a spot just above the ground. The stone is blank, no groove, no scratch, but you still feel it, like touching skin where a scar has long since faded. You turn away, your breath ghosts in the air. No one sees you. The streets are quiet, not empty. The kind of quiet that lets you hear your own name if you say it aloud. You don't. Not today. You've kept that name safe, folded up inside you like the note you never threw away. Back home, you sit at the table again. The wood is smooth, warm from the sunlight slanting through the curtains. You spread a blank page before you. You don't write. You just look at it. You imagine the cellar, still down there, still waiting. Bread passed without hands. Ale refilled without sound. Names spoken once and never again. You close your eyes. You try to remember the boy's voice. You can't. Not clearly, just the shape of the word soon. You say it aloud, but it feels borrowed now. Not yours. You let it go. The ink bottle beside you has dried. You don't refill it. The page stays blank. You begin to notice small things, a cobbler who sings to himself when the shop is empty, and a woman who always buys 2 apples but only eats 1. A man who walks with a limp but leaves no footprint. These things don't frighten you. They don't surprise you. You simply observe. You nod when they pass. And sometimes they nod back. You know better than to ask questions. You know what lives beneath. The cellar isn't behind every brick, but it's never far, and when you smell yeast in a place that shouldn't have any, when a room is warmer than it ought to be, you pause. You let the moment pass through you. You listen. Years will pass. The streets will shift, new shops will take old names. The boy may return in another form, or not at all. That's not your concern. You were part of the cellar once. That was enough. It changed you, yes, but gently, thoroughly. You'll never find the curtain again. You're not meant to, you carry it with you now in the way your hands settle on tables, in the way you tilt your head when someone hesitates, in the way you never quite finish your mug anymore. You always leave a little behind, just in case. Just enough for the room to remember you were there. And one night, when your breath comes slow and your bones ache with that clean, honest ache that comes from long living, you'll hear it again. A knock. two short, one long, you won't sit up, you won't call out, you'll just smile. And whether it's the cellar coming to collect what's left or simply the world letting you know you were heard, it won't matter. You'll close your eyes, you'll see the stone steps, the flickering flame, the boy, the mug, and you'll rest easy knowing you never really left. The cellar will remember you, because you remembered it. You're not the only one who's been there. You start to see it in others now, not plainly, not like a badge, just small details, how someone holds a cup too reverently, how they listen more than they speak, how their eyes follow sounds others miss. You see it in a merchant who hums the same broken melody you once heard, hummed in the dark. You see it in the young woman who always arrives early, but never buys bread, just stands near the oven. They don't talk about it. You wouldn't either. It's not a secret, but it doesn't belong in daylight. The cellar lives in a quieter rhythm just below everything. Sometimes you think of trying to describe it. The stone, the mugs, the warmth. But the words bend away from you. They don't land right. So instead, you cook something that smells close. Bread with too much rosemary, broth that simmers too long. You write short things on scraps of paper and fold them into drawers. Not because you're hiding them, but because the cellar taught you that not all messages need to be read. Some are just meant to exist. Some are just offerings to silence. You don't look for answers anymore. You don't fear the quiet. You let it settle in you like dust. You begin to keep a candle near your door. You don't light it often, but when you do, the flame burns slow and low, as if it remembers the dark you came from. Sometimes, without thinking, you place a mug next to it. You pour just a little. Then you walk away. It's still full when you return, but not cold, and that's enough. You don't explain it to anyone. If they ask, you smile. If they don't, better still. The cellar never demanded belief, just attention. You've learned how to give that. Quietly, completely, with open hands and steady breath. You don't visit the old bakery anymore, not because you're afraid, just because you don't need to. That path is closed for you. But you sometimes walk past the alley beside it. It's narrower now, or maybe you're taller, or maybe the space has curled in on itself, keeping what it needs and shedding the rest. You nod as you pass. Sometimes, when the air is thick with fog, you hear the faintest chime of keys. Once you saw a boy crouched near the wall drawing circles in the dirt. When you looked again, he was gone, but the shape he left behind lingered for days. You grow older, the ache in your joints becomes familiar. You forget things, but not that place, not the rhythm of it, not the way your name looked carved in wood. You still see it sometimes, in dreams, in firelight, in the grain of your kitchen table. It doesn't frighten you, it comforts you. A reminder that you've been somewhere few return from, that you carried the story out and didn't need to shout it to be changed by it. That when the time comes again, and it will, it won't be a surprise. You'll recognise the warmth, the silence, the soft, steady breath of a place that only ever wanted to know you remembered. You start leaving your door unlocked, not out of carelessness, just readiness. The knock will come when it's time. You don't check for it anymore. You live as you are, slower, softer, attentive. You listen when others speak. You eat what you need. You never scrape your plate clean. You leave room, you leave space. That's what the cellar taught you. That life is not about fullness. It's about remembering there's always something beneath, something deeper. And when that something calls, you answer, not with fear, but with a quiet nod and a mug already half lifted. The night it finally comes, there's no storm, no omen, just stillness. The kind of stillness that presses gently behind your eyes and says, now. You've been expecting it, not waiting, just ready. You sit at your table one last time, the candle burns low, you've kept it trimmed. The wax has built up in rings, each one a night you chose to sit, to breathe, to listen. You place your mug beside it. Not full, just enough. You fold a note you've written weeks ago. You don't open it. You place it under the mug. You lean back in your chair. You exhale through your nose. 2 knocks, then 1, not loud, but the sound is older than the walls. You stand slowly. Your knees complain, but only out of habit. You smooth your coat. The same one, always the same. You glance at the door. You don't rush to it. You don't ask who it is. You already know. You light a second candle. Not because you need it, just because it feels right. The flame catches quick. You press your palm to the door. It's warm. The kind of warmth that never quite feels like fire. You turn the handle. It opens easily. No groan, no resistance. Outside, the alley is dark, but not empty. You don't see anyone, but you feel the presence. Close, kind, a breath shared. You step out. The night is cool, damp. The fog has returned, thin and quiet. It wraps around your ankles, around the doorway, around your breath. You follow the narrow street. Your steps fall soundlessly. The buildings lean slightly, as if watching. The bakery is gone now. Something else stands in its place. A windowless shop with no sign. You pass it without stopping. Your hand brushes the bricks. One stone is looser than the others. You smile. You walk on. The ground beneath you softens slightly, as if the earth is welcoming your weight. The key in your pocket presses lightly against your leg. You forgot it was there. But of course it would return. The cellar doesn't wait in the same place. It never does. It finds you always where you are. You feel it long before you see it. Beneath your ribs, behind your teeth, in the pause between steps. You follow that pull down a new alley. The bricks are familiar. The steps damp. Your hand reaches out. The panel slides open. The smell greets you first. Smoke, bread, old laughter, rosemary. You step down. You don't look back. The door shuts behind you, quiet as a breath. The stairs curve gently, tighter than you remember. The air thickens, the light dims. But you do not hesitate. You know the way. The final step creaks under your foot. The stone floor is warm, the ceiling low. The candles are already lit. The table waits, your stool waits, faces turn toward you. Not strangers, not friends, just companions, people who know what you know. The cellar keeper is already there, standing near her beam. The keys at her side glow faintly. She nods once. That's enough. You take your pick, you sit. A mug is passed to you. You don't need to check what's in it. You already know. You raise it. You drink. The taste is exactly what it should be. You're home. The warmth that spreads through your chest isn't just from the drink. It's memory reawakening in your blood. The grain of the table is familiar beneath your fingertips, like something carved from your own rib. You press your palm flat. The wood breathes back. You don't speak. No one does. But the room is full of welcome. Some faces you recognize, though not from streets or windows. Only from here, only from the cellar. The man who wept into his hand sits quietly now, eyes closed, hands clean. The woman with the loose braid smiles faintly over her cup. The boy's stool is empty. And yet, his shape remains in the air. A shadow in the flame. The cellar keeper watches you. She's older, or maybe just deeper. Her keys hang heavier now. Not a burden, just a weight she's chosen to carry. She doesn't speak, she never has. But her nod says what needs saying. You did well. You made it back. You didn't forget. That's all the cellar ever wanted. You nod back. Around you the mugs move. Bread passes hand to hand. No questions, no names. Only ritual. Only rhythm. The room hums softly with breath and memory. You're not a guest. You're not a stranger. You're part of the cellar now. Fully. Quietly, without sepulchre ceremony. The curtain stirs. But you do not rise. That's for others. For now, you sit, you listen, you drink, you remember. The cellar is as it ever was, damp, warm, ageless. There is no clock here, no window, but time moves anyway, like breath, like water. You sit with it. Let it pass over you. No more questions, no more doors, just stillness, and the sound of laughter that doesn't last long. A game starts near the barrels. Dice roll once. A man hisses. A woman snorts. The game ends. The cellar breathes in, then out. The curtain stills. The light dims just slightly. You look down at your hands. The marks are back. Clearer this time, not ink, not blood, just memory laid into skin, the kind that doesn't wash. You trace one curve with your thumb, it hums beneath your touch. You know what it means now. You always did. You just needed to sit long enough to remember. The table across from you holds a single mug, full, pale, untouched. You don't need to choose anymore. That moment passed long ago. But someone else will, eventually. And you'll be here. Not to guide, just to watch. Just to be part of the silence that softens the decision. Bread is passed again. You tear a piece without thought. The crust cracks clean. The inside steams gently in the candle glow. It smells of salt and smoke. You chew slowly. Someone hums beside you. The tune is different this time. Older. Worn like a path. You close your eyes. You follow it. It leads nowhere in particular. Just in circles, just deeper. You open your eyes. The cellar is darker now, but not cold. Not unkind. You drink again. The mug is heavy, the flavour familiar. You look across the room. Another new face, another traveller. They've just arrived. They're not ready, but they will be. You nod once. They don't notice. That's fine. No one notices at first. You reach into your pocket. The note is there. Folded, unread, you press it flat against the table. You don't open it. You don't need to. The message isn't for you anymore. The cellar keeps it, like it keeps everything. You close your eyes again. The breath of the room surrounds you. Above, below, within. You have nothing left to ask. You're not waiting. You're not moving. You're simply here. The cellar dims, but it never darkens completely. A candle always flickers somewhere. A mug always rests in someone's hand. The warmth never leaves. It recedes, then returns like tide water that doesn't obey the moon. You watch another figure step through the curtain. He blinks in the low light. His coat is damp. His face is drawn. He doesn't sit at first. He walks past the tables. He brushes the beam with his fingertips. He sees the names, though none are his. Yet. You remember that feeling? That ache of recognition without belonging. He'll find his seat, or it'll find him. The cellar is patient. It always waits. Beside you, the woman with the braids speaks for the first time. Her voice is quiet, not whispering, just balanced with the cellar's breath. She tells you her name and you nod. You don't tell her yours. You no longer need to. Names in the cellar aren't about introductions. They're about remembering. She folds a piece of bread and offers half. You take it. It's warm. Heavier than it looks. You chew in time with the flicker of a nearby flame. A rat scurries beneath a crate. Someone laughs softly at nothing. The man near the barrels is carving something again. The knife doesn't flash. It barely moves. But you hear every scrape. You finish your bread. You push your mug slightly forward. A hand you don't see takes it. It returns, full. The pale pint sits to your left. Still untouched. Still watching. You've made peace with it. It's not yours. It never was. But you know its weight. You know its purpose. Oh, the man who just entered eyes it. He glances away. Smart, not ready. The cellar breathes a little deeper. You feel it in the soles of your feet. Someone begins to hum again. A different tune. You don't recognize it, but the cellar does. The candle beside the curtain flares, then calms. The keeper shifts her stance. Just once. Time here is not flat. It folds. It circles. You watch someone who looks like someone you once knew pass through the curtain. You don't speak, you just nod. They nod back. You've grown comfortable in your seat. Your bones ache in familiar ways. The wood under your fingers is smoother now, worn by your palms. You've been here long enough that your story is part of the room's temperature. When new people come, they feel you. Not your name or face, but your quiet, your watching, your stillness. You are no longer a visitor. You are part of what waits, what steadies, what remembers. The curtain parts again, another soul steps in. Young, lost, not trembling, but close. They don't move far, just enough to see the room, just enough to feel it breathe. You wonder if they'll stay, you wonder what they'll choose. But you don't lean forward. You don't interfere. You've learnt the rhythm of the cellar. It teaches through presence, not instruction. Through repetition, not rules. You sip. Your drink is sweeter this time. You don't wonder why. The cellar gives what's needed. You swallow slowly. The warmth spreads down your throat, into your chest, into your hands. You let your eyes close. When they open again, nothing has changed. And yet everything has. You're a little older. A little lighter. Your name is no longer on the beam, but someone else's is. You trace it. You nod. You nod. The room breathes with you. A page waits in your pocket, not blank, not forgotten, just unfinished. That's all right, you're not in a hurry. Later, though there is no true later down here, you feel it. The shift, the final breath, The way the cellar tightens, not in warning, but in completion. You've stayed long enough, you've listened, you've witnessed, you've remembered. It's time, not for an ending, just the part where your presence returns to quiet. You rise, the stool doesn't creak this time. It simply exhales. You nod to the keeper, she returns it, just as she did when you first arrived. Her keys don't jingle, they rest against her hip like sleep. You pass the curtain, it opens slowly. It's not brighter beyond it, just wider, warmer, quieter. A long breath drawn in, a longer one let out. You take one step, then another. You don't look back. You've already looked enough. You know what remains, you know the mug will be full, the dice will roll, the bread will break, someone will carve a new name, another will trace an old one. And one more will sit too long before speaking. The cellar will hold them all, and you will be part of that. Not with your hands, not with your voice, but with your weight. Your warmth. Your absence that isn't quite absence. You walk forward. The ground feels softer than stone, warmer than earth. The light is steady now. Not flickering, not dancing, just there. Like breath. Like the echo of your name in a room that never forgot it. You reach a door, not a hatch, not a trap, just a door. Wood, smooth, familiar. Your hand lifts without instruction. The handle is cool, you press gently, it opens, and behind it, a field. Grass wet with dew, trees bent from age, a wind that hums like voices behind barrels. You step outside, the air is clean. Not sweet, not sharp, just honest. You breathe in and taste rosemary yeast and a whisper of old smoke. Your feet move forward, not toward anything, just onward. You have no destination. The cellar wasn't a beginning or an end, just the breath between. And now you carry it with you, you cross the field, you pass beneath trees, you kneel by a stream. The water tastes like stone and memory. You sit on a flat rock. You unfold the note in your pocket. The ink has changed again. It says simply, if you smell yeast and thunder after dark, don't knock. You smile, you refold it, you place it beneath the stone, not to hide, just to let it rest. You lie back in the grass. The sky above you churns gently, cloudless yet moving. Somewhere far off, someone stirs from a dream. Somewhere near, a mug is lifted. You hear it all, as if the cellar lent you its ears. You think of the ones still waiting, still sitting, still sipping from mugs they don't remember lifting. You think of the boy, the curtain, the bread, the keys, all still there, all still watching. You feel no pull to return, and only a quiet gladness that you went, that you chose, that you stayed long enough to be part of the hum. The cellar doesn't end. It expands. It passes into hands, into breath, into pause, into the way someone sets down a spoon just a bit too carefully, into the way someone listens longer than they speak. You watch the clouds above you shift and stretch, you close your eyes, and when you do, the last image that stays is not the curtain or the mug or the keys, it's the wall outside the bakery, blank to most, but you remember the way your name once caught the light, the way it faded, the way it stayed even when it vanished. You smile again. The kind of smile you make when you've already said goodbye, and someone waved anyway. You breathe in, you breathe out. The air hums back, not loudly, just enough. And somewhere deep beneath the street where flickering candlelight never dies, a chair shifts. A door closes, a breath is held, and the cellar remembers your name.